Welcome back to the LEC studio. Now, as Vitality and Rogue get ready to hit the Rift, and with over 100,000 scenarios left, I want to give you guys a quick update on the race for playoffs and the impact of today's results. Let's start off with Splyce's massive upset against G2. If G2 had won that game, they would have locked top spot. But since they lost to Splyce, it gives Splyce the all-important 9 wins, which historically has been the amount of wins you need to make it into playoffs. With Schalke losing their game to Excel, the number of scenarios where they qualify for playoffs has dropped from 51% to 37%. About a third of scenarios they get into the playoff race. This means also we have a very close fight in the middle of the pack. As you can see, both Schalke and SK are sitting at 7 and 8, with just 3 games left to secure the wins they need to make it into playoffs. Fnatic and Misfits Gaming are also in this group of teams, and they will play up later tonight in our match of the week. In addition to the race for playoffs, we also have to look at the battle for second place. Splyce have put themselves in the running for that with their win up against G2 earlier, while Origen move up to 9 wins with the win in their previous game as well. Origen actually secure playoffs in 97% of the remaining scenarios that can play off, and will look to challenge for that second place spot, and with it, the spot in Rotterdam. Now, you can get your tickets for the LEC finals on the 13th and 14th of April at eu.lolesports.com/Rotterdam. So if you want to see G2 and whoever gets that second place spot play, make sure you go on over there and grab those now. Now, of course, that's going to put the pressure on Vitality, who look to defend their spot with a win in the next game against Rogue. So we're going to hand it over to Vedius and his discount casting partner, Quickshot.
That is not fair! Just because I stole your duo queue partner, Medic. Hello, everybody. I'm Quickshot, joined by Vedius at the caster desk. And this is going to be a pretty exciting match. A lot is on the line for Vitality if they lose the game, because they're sitting comfortably in second place with 9 wins. If they pick up a win, they go to 10, and they get that 1-game buffer ahead of Origen and Splyce.
And you know, we've seen some crazy stuff today, Quickshot. We saw the downfall of G2 once again. We've seen our second game of the day.
Schalke losing to
that's the Badger.
I got you,
and
I got you.
We saw Origen in shocking fashion crush SK.
Shockingly winning that game.
Now, the thing is for Rogue is they have brought in their original roster. Profit and Wadid have returned.
Yes.
And part of the discussion was around, number one, they wanted to make sure that they had the strongest possible roster for their regional league. But on top of that, they wanted to see what else they could do with this roster over the last few weeks of the split. And going up against Vitality, the question mark falls. Will Profit be the guy that they look to play around? Will he be the man that they invest resources in? Especially as they're going up against Cabochard, who we know Mowgli loves to play around.
And do you think the Kikis Profit duo can disrupt the Mowgli Cabochard duo? My instinct is no.
My instinct is no.
But we need to see how the draft plays out and whether or not it will work. Of course, really exciting to see Jiizuke back on stage. He was ill last weekend, and Seiken played in his place. And I'm glad to see the Italian stallion back on stage.
But even though it felt like he never really left in spirit, really. Seiken did have a fantastic Rise performance last week. Shout out to him coming up to the LEC in what was a bit of a difficult situation for Vitality, but still coming out strong for the team. But now the main man is back, and we'll see how Vitality look to play around.
All right, we of course are playing on patch 9.4, as we have been all weekend long. And when we jump into the draft, Kennen, Karthus, and Braum. A lot of Karthus today. I think we've seen him in every game featured. Jace as well, 100%. Less AD carry bands than I've seen in previous games. So this will allow Attila the choice of the litter. And with Draven still being available, does he feel bold enough? A man that's been outspoken about not having the chance to play Draven historically.
Makes me wonder actually what the priority is. They could look to value something like a Thresh, but instead they're just going to insta-lock the Galio, which is very surprising to me. I know that when you think about support matchups, Thresh is kind of one of the highest priority alongside the Braum, but many now consider Galio to actually be a good answer into Thresh because of how strong Galio is in his early levels. And typically you want to try and pair him up with a strong AD carry to leverage the fact that you can be very aggressive at those early levels, and because of the appeal that he can provide, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Draven come out from the side of Vitality.
And we'll see whether or not Attila feels bold enough. Got some options, got some time available. Jiizuke will be playing his LeBlanc in the mid lane. Cassiopeia has already been locked in. And I would like to say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Teller will be playing Draven, has played it twice this split, and has managed to win both of those games. His KDA is 10, 3, and 13. Is it going into Cassio Thresh, which I believe was the lane we saw earlier today?
Yeah, it looks like it for now that Cassio will be the one played in the bot lane if this Lissandra comes through. Now, so far, Rogue, I actually think can be very happy with their draft. Just matchups alone, Cassio outranges the Draven, and as long as Draven doesn't get too close, Cassio doesn't have to worry too much about it. And for Lissandra, I think she is the best pick into LeBlanc right now. She makes that laning phase extremely difficult, and we can talk more about it once we actually get into the game, because there's a lot of complexity to it, but basically it limits a lot of the kill potential that makes LeBlanc so strong in the laning phase.
Well, let's see how the rest of the laning phase, draft rather, pans out. Irelia taken away. Top lane, still available. Junglers still available as well. Kikis and Mowgli going to have the pick of the litter. I quite like Jarvan being taken away from both really Mowgli and Cabochard, having both strong performances on those champions. And Jungle Pool already starting to get hit. So there's the Nocturne. That's denying that from Kikis, who has played a number of champions this split. But I mean, what would you like to see rounding out these drafts as we head to phase 2 and both teams looking for the top and jungle?
Well, for Rogue, I'd like to see some AD somewhere in the draft. They could look to go for something like a Rek'Sai, but so far they're going more towards the scaling side. Thinking about what else they could go for, because they don't know what the top or jungle is, I think the safest bet for them would be go for a jungler. Maybe something like an Olaf could be pretty effective here. With the Jarvan gone, Rek'Sai is another option, but it's very early game focused, and I don't know if they need that with the draft that they're currently going for.
And also, do you really want to try go toe-to-toe early game with Vitality? Bold call. I mean, maybe it can work, right? Lee Sin's going to be the last ban here from Vitality, and if you have just joined us, Nico finds herself in the ban pool. It is a champion that is featuring in the bot lane a lot. Normally I don't like to talk about bans, but it's something that's just kind of crept up in this last week, and maybe we'll get a chance to see it tomorrow. There's that AD champion you were talking about, Vedius. It is Renekton locked in for Profit. 100% presence today. Renekton is showing up, and until SK, he won most of the games.
And I feel that for Vitality, you could now go for something like a Yorick, have that matchup that you feel will take longer to scale up, but you know will eventually be a much bigger threat in the late game. Something very similar to what Origin did in their previous game. And if they have to blind pick a jungler, it looks like they're going to go to the tried and true Olaf.
Yep.
I think that in terms of being able to play towards the early game, when you have both a Draven and a LeBlanc, it fits very nicely because it works very well in terms of creating early pressure, and it's great at snowballing those lanes as well. And so I wouldn't be surprised for Vitality right now if we just see something more towards the scaling side.
Ooh!
Wait.
Ooh! Olaf top?
This is an Olaf top.
What do you think of Olaf versus Renekton?
Oh, this is like a Season 2 matchup. Oh man, I'll be honest, I'm not that familiar with the matchup, so it's going to be a learning experience for us both. Quick shot, we'll keep our eyes on how this progresses as Rogue with some cheeky hovers right now.
I'm very excited about this. Olaf versus Renekton, or
it's locked in.
Versus Riven. Riven jungle or Riven top? Look into your crystal ball.
It has to be Riven jungle. You can't jungle Renekton. To be fair though, Jace did jungle, LCS did jungle Jace, so you can never be too sure. But I think given that it's Kikis, quick shot, and given that it's...
Yes.
It's Vitality, of course, it's got to be Riven jungle.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were listening to us before the draft started, Vedius said the following phrase: Kikis could look to invest resources into Profit and try challenge Mowgli playing around Cabochard. Well, do you know what? With an Olaf Rek'Sai and a Renekton Riven combination, all eyes have to be in the top half of the map, because that could make or break this entire game.
It very well could, and I'm very excited to talk all about it. Quick shot. There's a lot to talk about when we get into the game. I feel like we're going to be drawn towards this Riven, but
I am.
We've got to use this opportunity to remind people what is at stake with this game, because with all the upsets that have been happening today, Vitality need to win this game. Even though G2 lost, Vitality will be going up against G2 tomorrow. That is not going to be an easy matchup, and they want to secure that second place spot. And Getting a win here would still keep them 1 win above both Origin and Splyce. And so they need to secure this victory.
Well, let's see if Vitality can maintain sole control of second place. Fans here in the audience in Berlin have been yelling and screaming all weekend long. Huge shout outs to the Scottish fans visiting us, as well as many of the tour buses, as we've mentioned. Rogue taking on Vitality. Rogue have been eliminated from playoff contention, but they can play spoiler. They can give us a very exciting battle for second place if Kikis on this jungle Riven can step up and you know, pull off another surprise win.
So shall we do it? Should we just talk about the Riven?
We should. What would you, how do you break down jungle Riven when he's combined with the likes of Renekton?
So what we can say quite confidently is that the 2v2 at early levels is quite strong. Quick shot.
Okay, so tell me something I don't know.
What's interesting, though, is against an Olaf Rek'Sai, that's not a weak 2v2 either, right? And that's what's really fascinating about it, because the thing about Rek'Sai is she's so strong at early levels, especially with Conqueror. And when you play up against someone like a Riven, the thing is, a lot of Riven's damage comes from the bonus attack damage that she gets in between her abilities, right? Because you got to remember that she can actually scale very well, and she's quite item reliant. And while she can be oppressive in the early laning phase, it's largely due to her passive. So kind of trying to meander around that in the early game will be a large part of who comes out ahead in those 2 versus 2s. And I'm expecting a lot of action towards the top side of the map. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the build, Quickshot. Do you mind if I do that?
Please do, because we don't see Jungle Riven a lot. I saw Khan from SKT playing her top lane earlier today.
Yes, and
that I'm used to.
Over in the LCS, they love her up in the top lane as well. She's even blind picked a multitude of times. So Kikis actually has been playing this a lot in solo queue recently. His last game was actually only 4 hours ago, quick shot.
Was it a win?
It was in fact a win. He played against the Master Yi. You will notice that he is running Aftershock, so he's going more for the defensive kind of route, so that when he actually gets into the thick of things, he's a little tankier rather than going towards that damage, which makes sense. I think he's got enough damage on the side of his team. And he also actually builds quite defensively too. He starts off with the Black Cleaver to get a lot of the cooldown reduction. And on top of that, he'll then immediately transition to a Death's Dance. So he kind of goes as this bruiser. He likes to absorb a lot of damage. He likes that skirmish style. So he's not all about like full damage.
Yep.
He's kind of like off-tank bruiser style, which is I'm going to go for those extended trades and just soak up as much as I can.
Okay, and what do you think about how that sort of scales into the later stages of the game? Hold that thought, because I can see Mowgli showing his face in the mid lane, pushing Senkux out. Mowgli also roamed all the way down to the bottom half of the map, picked up that Scuttle Crab, and now will set up a skirmish with Kikis.
You've got to be careful, though, because you can already see the Renekton has been pushed in the top lane, which means that Kikis doesn't have that much support. But Kikis took a pretty solid jungle path. He went from red into Raptors into the Scuttle Crab, and now we see that 2v2 action up at the top side of the map.
All right, there's the unburrow onto Kikis already. Kikis forced to use the Val and the Broken Wings just to escape the engage. The shield helps a little bit. And remember, Prophet took a big chunk of damage from Cabo earlier on. Now here comes Kikis. He goes in for the stun. Broken Wings will not find the knockup. Mowgli's able to escape thanks to the use of the tunnel. And this
wait, what's he doing?
Exactly
He's overextended.
What you expect. Cabo, is this a bait? Is this a mistake? What is this? Here comes Mowgli. There's the burrow into the flash knockup. Cabo keeps throwing out the axes. The undertow, the reckless swings. It's a double kill for Mowgli.
So there we go. The 2v2 has been decided. Rek'Sai and Olaf is clearly the stronger. It didn't help that Kikis had the lower HP, but Vitality off to a commanding start.
Exactly what you wanted to see. Playing around the top lane. Initially, we thought that was going to go bad for Cabo and Olaf, but the lower HP Olaf is, the scarier he is, and he managed to use his flash flawlessly to get out of range.
So this all starts off with Kikis trying to collapse onto Mowgli with Prophet. Now both junglers are actually at similar HP, but remember, he regenerates thanks to his passive. Now in this situation, it looks like Cabochard is overextended, but Mowgli makes the crutch decision to flash in, get the knockup onto the Riven, which means there's a large period of time where she can't then deal damage, and so both Cabochard and Mowgli can focus him, while the cooldowns are sitting there for Prophet, meaning he doesn't have the damage. So basically, it all comes down to the fact that Rek'Sai and Olaf get to auto-attack you much more often than the opposition, which is ultimately more damage, which is why they won.
And that's why Mowgli got 2 kills. You can see some of his season-wide stats thus far. A jungle contradictions is something that our stats team was talking about. You can see counter jungle percentage, the amount of time that Mowgli spends in the enemy jungle, his experience difference is pretty low. Then his jungle proximity, again, some of the lowest in the league for junglers, but his kills plus assists very high, so he's very efficient with his time. When he does gank, and you can see why. He responded to the top lane, picks up 2 quick kills, and now by continuing to apply pressure, increasing that counter-jungling percentage we just talked about, and helping out Cabo push that wave in, build up even more of a lead against Prophets.
Yes, and we haven't really talked about it because we got so distracted by the Riven, but on paper, initially, I wouldn't think that Olaf would be that strong of a matchup into the Renekton, but Cabochard must have picked it because he believes it to be a counter. And I think one of the biggest things is that Cabochard, it's very easy for him to wave clear while also stick to a Renekton.
Yep.
And the thing about Renekton is he's very good at these short trades where he dashes in, stuns you, hits you with his Q to get that AoE damage and also a bit of a heal off, and then he dashes back out and the opposition can't really do much. However, when he tries to go in onto an Olaf, he's going to get slowed almost immediately. You also have the ultimate later on to break out from that stun. The lower your HP on an Olaf, the more you can just get that attack speed and lifesteal, and you also have the true damage on your E as well. So in terms of just trading in lane, I feel like Olaf will often come out on top, which means that he regularly gets priority.
And if there's ever any 2v2s and Renekton tries to slice and dice to safety, well, undertow after undertow, as well as the tunnel chasing power from Rek'Sai plus Void Rush, once Mowgli gets access to the Queen's ulti, and you can see Mowgli making it very clear. It was obvious in draft what was going to be happening.
So hey guys,
and this is a playstyle that Mowgli doesn't like.
If you don't know, Mowgli likes to camp top, and once again, he's demonstrating that.
All right, so there's the Ragnarok as Cabo backs away. Gigantic wave of minions, not much going to be lost because Kikis was able to respond, is in range to actually help out. And of course, while all this is going on, Vitality have accrued themselves 1,300 gold lead. Strong CS advantage for Cabo already. And we've seen some trading, both middle and top lane. You can see down in the bot now. EQ tries to put the miasma down, getting good damage onto Attila. Attila forced to flash. Death Sentence connects onto Jack Troll, but Wadid, 200 HP. No damage dealer to stick with, though. EQ's running low on mana, so he can't chase. Is going to go forward, gets the Noxious Blast, and backs away. Hiku, not sure that flash was necessary. Now Senkuk's going to get caught up. Ignite is not available for Jizuke because he's running the cleanse. And Senkuk's escaped with his life for now.
So a bunch of stuff just happened.
But what does it mean?
And what I love to see is that we're already getting a lot of action all over the map. And it kind of ties back to a lot of what we talked about in draft. Number one, Vitality, primarily playing around Cabochard. This is something that is not uncommon to Vitality, and it's something that has actually proven to be very successful, given overall how Cabochard has played this split. We also see in the bot lane the Draven versus Galio, how strong they actually are in the 2 versus 2. But against the Cassio, if she is not your focus, it's very easy for her to turn things around in your favor. Just because of the spammability of her skills, and thanks to Phase Rush in her runes as well, it's very easy for her to stick to you too. So they actually come out on top, and they force both flashes out from Jack Troll and Attila. But now Mowgli has decided he wants to help out his bot lane. They have no summers, but neither do rogues, so they want to try and help out and alleviate some of this pressure.
Really good early game here from Mowgli. I think he's shown his face in every single lane, like twice at this point already. Just pushing this advantage and just being, putting extra pressure on the rogue players. And that's why rogue continue to fall further behind. Up to 1,700 gold lead. Some early backs have come in, so Kindle Gem picked up for Senkux. He's got the Double Doran's rings and the Cursed Seal.
Interesting.
A little bit of survivability, cooldown reduction there as well to survive some of the bursts that can come from both Rek'Sai as well as LeBlanc.
So I talked about in draft how Lissandra is one of the best picks into LeBlanc. I think one of the main reasons for that is because on Lissandra, you can actually rush something like Merc Treads. And the reason for that is why you typically don't want to do that on mid laners is because it really hampers your damage, it delays it a lot. But on Lissandra, your goal is never to have damage. You're literally just a utility bot. And when you're playing with Renekton, Riven, and Cassio, that's all you really need to be anyway. So you can automatically build defensive very early on. But rather than go for the Merc Treads, he's actually just stacked up in health. So double Doran's Ring, on top of the fact that he has the Dark Seal, which will help in his regeneration, and you have the Kindle Gem, just means that the amount of burst that Jizuke has is less impactful because there's more HP on top of the Aftershock that he has to get through. So just a slightly different way of providing more survivability and making it difficult for Jizuke to actually find those kills.
All right, a little bit of an engage here from Jizuke. Gonna get caught out. Where's the tomb? Senkux decides not to throw, despite the fact Wadid is waiting in the wings. This turns into a 3v2, but look at Attila. Look at Jack Troll. There's the taunt. That connects one. Whirling Death flies out and comes back. Senkux with the self-cast. Not dead just yet. One last swing. Attila picks it up, but it is a trade because Mowgli concedes a death.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 overall quick shot, but Vitality, they're the happy campers off the back of that because it was Attila who got the payout. I'm not exactly sure how much gold he got, but right now he's sitting at a 600 gold lead over Hiku, and for a Draven to get that kind of bounty, definitely very valuable. So if you look at the minimap, you can already see the bot lane has started to roam up. Wadid is already lying in wait. Regardless of whether Rogue tried to turn this one around, Vitality know they're going to have the numbers advantage. So a quick flash knockup from Mowgli sets up for Jack Troll to land the taunt, get a bunch of damage out, and Senkux, he is able to use his ultimate to buy a little bit more time while Mowgli dives underneath the tower. But if he hadn't done that, well, actually, I think that it was very greedy of him because the Riven ended up having the shield, which means that it cost him his life. But at the end of the day, it did end up being 1-for-1, and as I mentioned, the Draven got the gold.
A Vitality player greeted on a tower dive? No, Vedius. Tell me something I didn't know. But look, at the end of the day, ends up 1-for-1, like you said, Bloodthirster at 10 minutes 50 seconds, and Jizuke coming to help Mowgli put Prophet even further behind. His flash is on cooldown, and despite the dominance coming up, it simply does not matter. Jizuke gets his first kill of week 8, killing Prophet in the top lane.
Poor Prophet. He comes back to the LEC, and immediately Vitality are saying, well, welcome back. And now we see a bit of action in the bot lane.
Now remember, no flashes for this bot lane either. Petrifying Gaze will catch out Jack Troll, but Attila used a very good displacement to at least slow down this pusher. Whirling Death will clear out the wave, and Attila's got 4 members to deal with. Let's see what he can do. Whirling Death comes back. Good damage onto Wadid, but Wadid forced to use the stopwatch. And Rogue get 2 pretty clean kills and get out at the cost of Rift Herald.
Yeah, overall, very clean dive from the side of Rogue. As you mentioned, 2 clean kills. Unfortunately, another one went on to the support, which is not really the situation that you want to be in, but the Riven also picks up a crucial kill. The main problem for Rogue is that both mid and top of Vitality were able to secure more turret plates, which means that the LeBlanc and the Olaf are getting further ahead. And on top of that, they got the Rift Herald. So this is almost guaranteeing another big objective going in the hands of Vitality. And when you think about Vitality, you think about their 2 solo laners, and with the return of Jizuke, one of his staple LeBlancs being 1-0-1, with all this extra turret plate gold going into his back pocket, you can't help but be afraid.
Yeah, another minute and a half before those turret plates drop. The Rift Herald's available to help secure some of them. And Vitality are a very proactive team. I get to that moment, in a moment rather, because the Brambleback will lose its patience and reset. Kikis and Wadid don't really have the firepower back up to challenge this because, look, 4 members of Vitality pushing forward. And the point that I was trying to make is, as a team, Vitality like to be on the front foot. They like to be making the first move. They like to be forcibly getting ahead. And it's part of the reason they're the number 2 team in the league right now, because they're good at it.
Yes.
They're good at playing forward. They're on the same page. And look, a minute before the turret platings drop, you've got pressure in the backline. Kikis is just going to get run down. The tower's going to die as well. And if Senkux sticks around, I think Vitality might go for another fight.
Yeah, it looks like the Riven was not ready to enter Bromacia as Cabochard warmly welcomed him. Another kill goes, well, his first kill of the game now goes into his back pocket, and Vitality continue to snowball the early gold lead. Really beautiful stuff from Vitality, and I just really wanted to reinforce what you were saying, Quickshot. They are the 2nd place team, but often their playstyle doesn't really feel like that because sometimes they seem very scrappy, sometimes they seem a little over the shop, and sometimes you're even wondering what this team is doing. But ultimately, they have a very similar style to G2. They have a lot of playmakers on their team. A lot of them will take those 40%, 50% chance. Ooh, fight
Oh my word, Attila! Reaction speed was insane. Insta turnaround. Didn't see whether it was buffered, but and Hiku committed a flash for that.
And it's funny because those plays where you say we can make those work, right? He's actually, like, this is a prime example. Attila with no cleanse in a lane by himself where he doesn't have that much vision towards the bot side of the map, is standing far forward in the lane within flash range of Cassio, and he's like, I don't care, I can outplay this. Like, I know I can outplay this. And then he does it, right? And you sit and you're like, that's a really impressive play. The other 50% of the time, you're like, Attila's killing himself.
What I will say is 55% of the time it works.
Yes.
45% doesn't, because this is still a team that's 9 wins and 5 losses in second place.
Exactly that. And that's why they're so fun to watch. And unfortunately, they don't quite have the same refinement as G2. G2.
That's the big word for me. It's less refined, slightly more chaotic or
Yes.
explosive. You know?
But ultimately, a lot of the plays that they make are well informed, and a lot of the things they try to do are not random. They're actually planned out in advance and they're calculated. And we've seen already in this early game a lot of the top lane dives trying to get Cabochard ahead. And you can, right now, their vision isn't the best. But you can kind of see they're setting up vision around the top side of the map to try and allow Cabochard to play this aggressively. And I'd like to see them push in a little deeper now that they actually control the top side river. But that needs to be the next step for Vitality. Get a little bit more vision control, have a little bit more ownership over the map, so that your side laners can actually look to play more aggressively and use the leads that they built up.
Well, this lead that you mentioned is 5,000 gold right now. Vitality are now going to get caught into a little bit of a fight, or is it Rogue? This looks like at least 1 kill onto Mowgli. Very good setup. Rogue were able to collapse onto Vitality, and I wasn't quite sure they could turn it around, but here comes Jizuke. That's a two-man taunt from Jack Troll. The winds of war are burning down Rogue. What did is already dead, and there's a Mountain Drake up and available for Vitality. It's a 1-for-1 in kills, but with vision control and lane control as well. Vitality could opt to go for that dragon.
It looks like that they could. I'm surprised that they're not. Perhaps it's because Mowgli is dead and they don't have a jungler, so they'd rather just push in the waves, try and get some more damage down onto the towers. But this is one of those situations where you're like, what are Vitality doing? They actually weren't in a situation to be trying to get vision on the bot side of Rogue's jungle, which means that they do end up getting caught out. The problem is here that they actually clump up, and there's another one plays like, you know what, we're numbers down, but we don't care because we know we can outplay you. You've actually used a lot of your ultimates, and this is a situation where we can actually come out on top.
I mean, look at the item disparity. Luden's Echo, Sorkshoes 5 stacks on 2 Dark Seals for Jizuke. He's 2-0-1. The team is up 6,000 gold, and yes, they have a numbers disadvantage, but when you actually add in the combat stats of the additional gold and everybody clumped up for the distortion damage, it goes pretty well for Jizuke and Vitality. And with, of course, that bottom tower going, that's all 3 out of town secured in favor of Vitality. They extend that lead even more. They get an uncontested Mountain Drake. And to be very honest, this is pretty much what you expected when you saw this match on paper.
It's what I expected for the first 2 games, Trevor, and then random things happened. And that's one of the things that's less likely to happen to Rogue, because they're not really the team that try and force these kind of plays. But you've got to remember that they do still have elements of scaling on their side. The Cassio will get stronger as the game progresses. And I'm always of the opinion that Riven's damage is just odd. Because there are weird pockets where she seems to do loads of damage, which is in lane, and then she like gets 2 items, and then it feels like that she doesn't do a lot of damage, and then all of a sudden, later on into the game, maybe she's at like 3 items, she can just one-shot my AD carry. And so Riven's a champion I just don't really understand, and she's just one of those weird ones where like I think very good Rivens make her have more damage than she's supposed to, and then mediocre Rivens like me can't really seem to do anything with it.
Well, where does Kikis fall on the
scale? Well, I'm going to find out. That's the ultimate question. So far, he's 1, 2, and 3, and doesn't even have a black cleave yet. So I'm not scared of his.
That was not a very nice question for me to set up. I definitely should not have gone that direction. But I mean, look, it's a good showing from Vitality. They're pushing this vision up into the northern quadrant of the map, deeper and deeper around the Baron. We're getting close to 20 minutes, and take a look at Mowgli. I wondered if he was going to fancy a shot. The Whirling Death! Oh my word!
He's
Here
dead.
comes Jizuke. There's a good defensive flash from Senkux, and
He's not dead.
there goes
yes,
Void Rush. I knew Void Rush was going to get the kill. I just didn't think it was going to be that way. And
of course, we do have a quick pause coming out from Senkux, so we will find out what that is for you.
Look at Jizuke. There's Jizuke. Now, I will admit, the spectator side, looking at where Mowgli's Rek'Sai came out after the Void Rush did look a little odd to my eyes, but it was pretty clear Vitality were going to go for that dive. And as I can see, ultimately is rewound on his client.
Yeah, so the moment Senkux used his ult, he should have died anyway. But I don't know. I don't really know what's odd.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I think it was a flash from Jizuke that threw me off as well.
Oh, yeah, because he goes back to his clone. Right?
Exactly, exactly. So nevertheless, we will get confirmation exactly why we believe Rogue and Senkux paused, and we'll let you know. But for the time being, just to step back and once again remind everybody, if Vitality pick up this win, they will end the day with 10 wins and 5 losses, and they play G2 Esports tomorrow. That is going to be a very hyped game, especially with G2 losing today And, you know, all 3 of their games have been lost in the back half of the split.
Yeah.
G2 are donezo, Vedius.
It's really weird for me as a cast to talk. Can we talk a little bit about G2 right now? Because we are on a pause. Quick shot. Do you mind going down that route? The thing is about G2, right, is that when they play against Vitality tomorrow, I actually have no idea what to expect. Because Vitality look very clean right now. There's a lot that they're playing for. They want to try and secure top 2, but for G2, they've already guaranteed top 2. So they actually have a lot of freedom in how they play the rest of the regular season. They could look to take it a little bit more easier, because then once you get closer to playoffs, they can then look to try and... So
that man on your screen will not be playing easier in any of the games.
No.
I don't think Vitality have that gear in them.
No, I don't think they do, but I do think G2 do. And I think they're the kind of team that will... I mean, I think they showcased it today. I think that they take a lot of risks in their draft. I was very critical of their draft today because I'm all for trying new things or trying different ways of playing or maybe refining strategies that you're not that good at. But I honestly just think that they drafted poorly today.
There's a huge Attila fan base here in Berlin. You can see the Portuguese flags in the crowd, and obviously as soon as Attila's on screen, the crowd erupts in cheers. Thank you for that one, making some noise. But yes, as you mentioned, you know, G2, they're sitting comfortably. They're secured top 2. So definitely going to be going to Rotterdam. And what matters is one of the things that I find very interesting is how teams peak. When do you find your strength? When do you hit your maximum strength? Because when you get to those best of 5s in the playoffs, that's when it matters the most. And of course, Vitality are just a few steps away from that second seed. Their strength of schedule is relatively easy, all things considered. We will actually talk about that once we get into the game. And just remind you of how many matches remaining Vitality have left to play and which ones we expect them to win.
So can we just appreciate one small thing?
Okay, tell me.
When they recently gave a quality of life buff to Olaf, where you can now see his pickup radius.
Yes.
And on the Brolaf skin, it now says Graggy Life.
It does.
On it.
Graggy Ice, I believe.
Oh, Graggy Ice.
I'm pretty confident it's Graggy Ice because it's the same as the Gragas barrel. I do have an update. League officials have investigated a potential bug involving Rek'Sai's ultimate, but have determined that we will play on after reviewing the shadow play from Senkux's perspective. So yes, I saw the Graggy Ice on the floor. I always get nervous bringing that up on broadcast because it's not really a topic we cover a lot.
Oh, I actually have no idea what it means. It's just, I just like...
So I tell you what, Gragas
Yeah?
invented Graggy Ice.
Okay.
Gragas's ice called brew.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it could, you know, it could be root beer.
Yeah.
It could not be. But we'll just leave it at that, shall we? Bro.
So we're back into game now, quick shot.
Do you want to summarize what happened the last 18 minutes?
Lots of dying. Riven has done nothing. And...
That was a pretty terrible summary.
Jizuke and Kabashad are really fed. I forgot their names. I don't know why I do that.
It's not like we're in week 8 or anything.
I know, right.
But I'll add a few more points here.
All right, if you insist.
7,000 gold lead. Mountain Drake, 4 towers to 0. Vitality's proactive play around the map, and I think led by Mowgli. Mowgli's ganked every single lane and been very successful in the top lane. Has really been the thing that sort of snowballed Vitality once again, and I really like what Mowgli has done for Vitality because it really, really helped refine and define their identity this season.
Sure has. Now we see the 1v1. Olaf versus Renekton.
Well, there's a flash over the wall. Here comes Kabashad, Ragnarok and Ragnarok. He's got 1. He's looking for 2. A new challenger appears. EQ's looking for the counter kill. And it will be secured by Senkux. But I think that was a pretty bro-mantic performance,
that was
no?
bro successful.
No, we really suck at that, right? We were not in any fraternities in university. That's what that tells us.
I don't think my university had fraternities. Anyway, point is, so I have to be critical of Vitality there because their top laner just generated a huge amount of pressure towards the bot side of the map, and they actually didn't try and push anything. They tried to help him, which is the mistake. You don't really want to go to that lane. You want to try and push somewhere else on the map. And while now they are using it to get vision around the river, and now they have secured the mid tower, they could have been a lot faster, and they probably could have gotten a lot more off the back of that play. and now they're looking once again for another fight.
Well, here comes Cabochard. He's jumped onto Senkux. Ragnarok is thrown down once again. Senkux with the self-cast on the ultimate. Death Sentence will catch one. That's a kill for Atala. There's the Portuguese fan base screaming in support. Flashes over the wall. Void Rush was already used by Mowgli to pick up what was a solo kill onto Hikyu and Jizuke. He's found one dead. He sidesteps a Death Sentence and waiting for the spell rotation. Distortion out. And Jizuke's on a rampage. 4-0-3. The base is broken open. And Vedius, it was a long con from Vitality.
Yeah, you know, I can criticize all I want, but the reality is they've made it work. They're on the Nexus Towers. Vitality looking to crush Rogue in 21 minutes.
11,000 gold lead. Vitality are smurfing against Rogue. They will take down the second Nexus turret, and here comes Kikis trying to push forward with that broken blade. Is instantly cut down where he stands after being unburrowed, knocked up into the air. Now, Vitality aren't done yet. Still fancy themselves another fight. Prophet actually teleported way deep into the middle lane, expecting Vitality to back away, and that was the mistake. There's a flash for Attila, jumps over the petrifying gaze. Can't find the kill into Hikyu, but in the back line, Prophet is already dead before he can do anything. Senkux gets tagged by the undertow, and Cabo's just gonna run him down. The swag finish with the hourglass. The Nexus is now the focus at 22 minutes on the clock. Rogue will pick up another kill with the help of the Fountain Laser. The Nexus goes down, and Vitality will retain control of second place. Absolutely love hearing the chants, the cheers, the songs from the fans here in Berlin. A beautiful performance from Vitality.
Yep.
You can criticize, of course, but...
No, I mean, like, sure, there are areas of criticism, but ultimately, they got the win.
Yes.
You don't need to, right? Like, that was a great game. I love the decision-making, I love the confidence. Ultimately, it worked out for the best. Cabochard on his Olaf, man. What a great pick. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Renekton was the flavor of the day, and now Cabochard has just shown you a counter pick.
2-2 Renekton today. Cabochard's Olaf, definitely very impressive. And kudos to see Attila back on Draven as well. Still undefeated this year, 3-0.
And this is the thing. We wanted to reinforce today that Vitality, you have to respect them as a team. They do have that very G2-esque playstyle. And something that Frost said earlier in the day is we have so many strong teams in Europe that all have their very own identity. And while Vitality possess many similarities to G2, they have so much uniqueness, and they still have their own identity that just makes Vitality Vitality.
It's just those small differences in how they play out some of the skirmishes, the small decision-making differences between the teams, but it is a very similar style, it's a very similar flavor, and it's arguably the reason why both of these teams are at the top of the table. This playstyle in this meta, with a number of viable champions that you can play really across the map, and both teams are excelling. I mean, look at Yamato. I always find it funny when you look at a game like this, number 2 versus number 10. You can nitpick some of the plays, but it was still a beautiful victory. And we've actually got some highlights of the first top lane Olaf in the LEC 2019 Spring Split. I want to take a look at those clips in just a moment. I can actually see Cabochard chatting to Frank as well, so we'll get a word from him after these plays. But this is pretty hype.
Yeah, and I wanted to know who would win out on the 2v2. I was more inclined to believe that maybe the Renekton Riven would, but then you look at it, Olaf, Rek'Sai, extremely strong in this setup. And I love the fact that the knockup coming out from Mowgli, combined with the spammable undertows, combined with all that bonus attack speed that you get, just makes it ridiculous. And who can forget this? Let's call an outplay, shall we, Quickshot?
I'm looking for Graggy Ice on the floor. Can you spot it? I mean, he picks up 1, he picks up 2, and then eventually...
Yeah, he picks up 1, kill, picks up 2, kill, and he's doing exactly the same with the axes. And this man was just on a tear right now.
There we go. Craggy Ice finishes it off. The swag finish for Cabochard. I mean, nicely done.
Oh, we didn't have the Zhonya's under the tower.
We
that
didn't.
was the only one we were missing.
So, Vitality play G2 Esports tomorrow, and next week they play XL and SK Gaming. As far as strength of schedule is concerned in terms of games and teams and opponents, outside of G2, they have 3 relatively easy games.
Did you see XL today?
I
Shot?
did indeed, and we need to see, can XL continue to play spoiler and trip up Vitality?
I feel like they're just the team that
Next
could ruin
Friday, we'll
everyone's-
find out.
Yes.
Before we get to that, though, we do need to talk about Key Up Player of the Game. Your three candidates, Cabochard, Mowgli, and Jizuke at LOL Esports on Twitter. For me, it's a two-horse race, Mowgli or Cabochard. I love Jizuke. It wasn't about him today.
Both very solid candidates.
Yes.
I'll leave the fans at home to
That's
decide.
it. You have to decide. We do not have the power here. Be sure to check out at LOL Esports on Instagram for our International Women's Day Instagram takeover. We're featuring the women and non-binary individuals that help make LEC an incredible show. Happy International Women's Day to each and every lady out there. To get more insights on Vitality's win, here's Frankie standing by with Cabo.
Hello. Thank you very much, Quickshot. Now that was a classic, confident Vitality performance, Cabochard. Tell me how that match was for you.
We felt really in control. I think it was nice for us to prove that because last time we played Rogue, like the early went sort of well, but then we fell over and we had to backdoor to win the game. So this game, yeah, we knew from the get-go we had the 2v2 top lane, we did it, and then from there on we just took tours after tour and went forward.
Now, an interesting pick from you as well, because that's the first time this split that we've seen Olaf in the top lane. What made you pick him?
Actually, it's one of the picks I really love. I was playing it a lot in Gambit 4 years ago, and even Vitality the first year, and like, I'm not sure it's a pick you can play that often, but in this kind of matchups, actually, I think you can play it for sure, and yeah, this game, I was really happy to play it.
So we might see you pick Olaf again.
Maybe, yeah, sure.
We love to see it. Now, I want to tell you something. Voskurin backstage was saying that she thinks you're the best top laner in the LEC. What do you make of that?
Thank you. Yeah, I think after I played the Shy, especially last Worlds, it really refueled me to like go to the next step. And since then, I'm really trying to push my limits and become the best. So yeah, thank you.
And Vitality is fast potentially going to become the best because this is the best split you've ever had. And you've been on this roster since 2015, Cabochard. So why do you think the guys are doing so well?
I think we had new hopes really after Worlds because of the performance we had. And like last year, we didn't have that much expectations. We're just the rookie team and whatever. And the years before, it was the 7th place in Vitality. So no, we know we can reach the top. We know we have the players to do it. And yeah, we're not that far from first place. So 3 more matches.
Well, we're going to see you tomorrow in our Saturday match of the day because you're facing G2. So I have a feeling it might be a bit of a brawl. How do you feel about facing the top of the league team?
I'm really excited to play G2. I think they are really good. Last time we played them, actually, we didn't show anything. It was like the last game against Origin, so I was really disappointed after it. So it's as well a chance maybe to reach first place. They are 2 points ahead of us, so yeah, we're really gonna give it all.
Yeah, 10-5. It's not a bad score this close to the playoffs, Cabochard. So congratulations. Thank you so much for talking to me. Now, after the break, we have got our match of the day. It's going to be Fnatic versus Misfits, so do not go anywhere.
What is this? Here comes Mowgli. There's the burrow. Into the flash knockup. Cabo keeps throwing out the axes. The undertow, the reckless swings. It's a double kill for Mowgli. Look at Attila. Look at Jack Troll. There's the taunt. That connects one. Whirling Death flies out and comes back. Senka to the south cast. Not dead just yet. One last swing. Well, there's a flash over the wall. Here comes Cabochard. Ragnarok and Ragnarok. He's got one. He's looking for two. A new challenger appears. EQ's looking for the counter kill. Senka to the south cast on the ultimate. Dead Sentence will catch one. That's a kill for Attila. There's the Portuguese fan base screaming in support. Rogue will pick up another kill with the help of the Fountain Laser. The Nexus goes down and Vitality will retain control of second place.
I almost put a third of my life now into playing League of Legends, and I know that if I'm not doing it properly, then I'll really regret it when I'm done. Whenever I have the chance to sit in front of my PC and play a couple of games, I try to take it as if it were to be like my last games, or as if I were to regret it if I didn't do it properly. So I just kind of try to constantly remind myself that this is not gonna last forever. So whatever I have going right now, even though it's maybe not optimal, I just need to make it work anyways.
we are powered up.
Get the Baron Buff Power Play with Shell V-Power.